Murdaugh is a very calculated person who planned all of his crimes. I wonder what kind of tricks he got up his sleeves to sabotage his upcoming wrongful death lawsuit for Mallory Beach. Will Alex pay another drug dealer to do his dirty work? Will he pay someone to intimidate, threaten, or harass a witness? Will he try to corrupt a juror or pay a juror off? Will he get someone to call in a threat to the courthouse, or will he pretend to have his own medical emergency? Only time will tell. Alex causes chaos and confusion everywhere he goes, and court trials are no different for him. He will find a way to sabotage his trial and cause disruption like he did at Maggie and Paul's trial. I love shopping online at Temu. Most items are of decent quality and priced much lower than retail. People are raving about their portable folding washing machine. They have lots of kitchen equipment too. Often I find items that are helpful and which I didn't know I needed. Use my link to get 30% off your purchase. The link will be in the description box. A South Carolina judge ordered the State Department of Corrections to make defendant Alex Murdaugh available for a deposition for the wrongful death case of the 2019 crash of his family's boat with his boozed-up son, Paul Murdaugh, behind the wheel. What is a deposition? It's a witness's out-of-court testimony that is reduced to writing by a court reporter for later use in court for discovery purposes. The session at which such testimony is recorded. Some of the things we already learned from previous depositions about the boat crash. Most of the kids had fake IDs that they used to get into bars and purchase alcoholic beverages before the boat crash. Paul got kicked out of numerous bars trying to use his older brother Buster's ID. One time, Buster and Paul tried to use Buster's ID at the same time. Buster went into the bar first and used his ID to get in. Then someone went outside where Paul was waiting and gave him Buster's ID to gain entry into the bar. However, the bouncer noticed that they were using the same ID because he remembered Buster, so he did not let Paul into the bar. After that, the bouncer went into the bar and kicked Buster out. This bouncer was one of the few people that took underage drinking seriously. He actually paid attention and did the right thing by kicking them both out. Paul's nickname, Timmy, was initially a signal the kids used to get everyone to leave. It all started one night at Moselle. Someone in the group said when they can tell that Paul was drunk, somebody in the group would say, "All right, here comes Timmy. We gotta go." This was their signal to leave when Paul got drunk, because they knew he was about to act a fool. The horrible experience the group endured fighting for their lives after the boat crash, plus the trauma and fear these poor kids experienced, is beyond anyone's belief. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Anthony Cook said he thought he had fallen asleep because it was literally like waking up when he hit the water after the boat crashed. When he woke up, he was on the same side of the bridge that they hit, but the current was going so fast that by the time he was in the water, the current had pushed him to the other side of the bridge. Anthony grabbed the first pile he could get to. He had on 2 jackets, and he could hardly swim, so he took off the first jacket and threw it. When he looked over, he saw a bank to his right, so he swam to the bank. He had to swim from pile to pile because the current was so strong. He also had to swim on an angle to let the current take him to the piling. Anthony hit 2 more pilings than he swam. On the way to the bank, he started hollering. He thought everybody was in the water. He couldn't see anything at first, but eventually he could see and hear everybody else hollering from the other side of the river. So he jumped back in the water and did the same thing, swimming with the current, letting it take him from one piling to the next, all the way back to the bridge. It took him 15 or 20 minutes because the current was going so hard, and he had to keep taking breaks. When he got to the other side, the first thing he did was ask about Mallory. Paul was laying under the bridge, and Miley came running up to Anthony asking, "What do you mean, where's Mallory?" Everybody started screaming for Mallory. Anthony jumped back into the water to look for her, but he couldn't make it. He was already tired and weak, so he turned back around, but he said in the back of his mind he knew that Mallory was already gone. Anthony had a panic attack and walked to the top of the bridge where he saw blue lights coming, and everything else was just a blur. When Anthony got out of the water, he still had his phone. He had a life-proof phone case, so the phone was still working, but he couldn't get the screen to work at first. It took him 30 to 45 minutes to take the case off and get it to work. Once he got his phone to work, he called his mom.
Is there a D-Long on the boat? What? Elena? Huh? That's Elena DeLong from Brisbane. That's what I heard. There's her friend back there. What's your mom's number? Y'all need to go. Connor's fucked up. Connor's messed up bad. We can't find him. Morgan's messed up bad. We can't find him. Where are we at? We're at Paris Island. Paris Island Bridge. No, it's telling me the entrance to Paris Island. Paris Island. Entrance to Paris Island. I said, there's 50 cops out here, and one cop was nice enough to let me call you. Mom, there's 50 cops here, Coast Guard, everything. We can't find Mallory. It's been 30 minutes. You probably need to call Mr. Hammond.
Paul Murdaugh's ex-girlfriend Morgan family and some of Paul's family did not like each other. I'm surprised that they stayed together so long. Maggie and Alex liked Morgan, but Alex's sister had a problem with Morgan, and Morgan's dad hated Paul. I don't know if anyone's father would approve of Paul dating their daughter because he didn't treat people right, and Paul was violent. Paul didn't like Morgan's father either, because he was always talking about her family and looking down on them because they weren't wealthy. On the night of the boat crash, there were family members with the kids at the oyster roast bar that could have stopped them from getting on the boat. Instead of stopping the kids, Alex's sister thought it was more important for her and Morgan to discuss why they didn't like each other at the oyster roast before the boat accident. I don't think that was the right time or setting to even have a serious conversation like that. I would prefer to speak to someone while I'm sober and somewhere in private, not at a bar with loud music, people talking and drinking. Did you know that Alex Murdaugh paid someone to call in a bomb threat during his trial? It was possibly one of his old drug dealers. Investigators believe the bomb threat that briefly disrupted Alex's trial came from an inmate 2 counties over with no apparent ties to the case. The sheriff's office said investigators had traced the call that led to the evacuation of the county courthouse to a cell phone at Ridgeland Correction Institution, a medium-security state prison in Jasper County. Police said the State Department of Corrections found Joey Dean Coleman from Hampton with the phone. A forensic scan of Coleman's phone provided evidence of the threat according to the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office said it had obtained a felony arrest warrant for Coleman. Prison records show Coleman was transferred to the higher security Broad River Correctional Institution the day of the threat. Coleman, 32, is serving time for Hampton County charges of armed robbery, kidnapping, assault and battery, and a weapons violation, with an expected release date in 2045, prison records show. According to the sheriff's office, Coleman has no direct connection to Murdaugh or the trial, although I believe if he didn't know Coleman and he wasn't one of his old drug dealers, then Alex and Coleman both know the same person who was behind the scenes orchestrating everything. The trial, which brought dozens of reporters and onlookers, was halted abruptly midday on February 8, 2023, after a clerk in the courthouse received a call suggesting there was a bomb in the judge's chambers. After evacuating the packed courtroom, authorities cleared the building and the trial resumed within a few hours. I will leave a link for the bonus video if you would like to watch the video with the Anthony Cook's deposition.